Costco is the latest major retailer adding its name to the list of companies suing President Trump over tariffs. The Warehouse Club says that it is currently offsetting the costs of the tariffs by increasing their prices for select products. The tariffs face other legal challenges, including a case in the Supreme Court to decide if the president has the authority to enact such sweeping tariffs.
Costco says its lawsuit is a necessary step towards receiving a refund if the Supreme Court decides that the president acted outside his authority. It remains unclear how and when refunds would be implemented if tariffs are overturned.
We want to bring back in our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. So this has to deal with how he used the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, using it to impose these tariffs. And we said that if the Supreme Court rules that he used it improperly, they could be on the hook, but how would this actually work? What's the legality behind it?
Well, you got a couple of things. As Jason said in the intro, a number of companies already have done this. A dozen have done it so far. Costco is the newest one to jump on, but it's about timing. December 15th is the deadline to be able to get your money back. And so even if these are held to be unconstitutional uses in gathering their money, if you don't claim and request a refund at this moment, which they're doing by, hedging this suit right here, then even if the Supreme Court later says, you know what, President Trump, you weren't allowed to do this, that money will be gone. And so this is good lawyering. The folks that are advising these companies is letting them know to save and preserve your ability to get this money back. Regardless of what the Supreme Court does, you need to do this step. And so this is not only costing them money on the front end, it's also costing them money on the back end with the legal fees. But courts have already ruled on this. You already have the International Court of Trade and the Federal Circuit ruled 7-4 that President Trump exceeded his presidential authority when making these reciprocal tariffs, as he did for all trade partners, and these fentanyl tariffs, as he did for Canada, Mexico, and China. So these things already have been addressed by the court. Now the Supreme Court will say, well, did that court get it right or did they get it wrong?
So you mentioned other companies filing similar suits. You got Revlon, Kawasaki, some other big names. Are there laws to protect them against these kind of tariffs? And could there be refunds down the line, maybe?
Well, that's the only goal. The reason why you do this lawsuit is you're trying to put yourself in position to be able to, at a later date, get your money back. Because the Supreme Court won't rule before the December 15th deadline. The money's already been taken. If the December 15th deadline passes without you putting in a request to get it back in some lawsuit saying that it was unlawfully taken, that money disappears instantly. So these folks, again, are doing what you want to have a law firm do for you in this situation, is put you in a position to be successful. So on the one hand, while you're giving amicus briefs and other briefs to the Supreme Court, urging them to rule in your favor, on the other side, you're saying to them, hey, I need to file these lawsuits in other courts to protect our profit.
If the Supreme Court rules in a way that does favor these companies and they are able to get that money back, would that be a really long, drawn-out process? Especially, is there a potential for an appeal in this?
Anything in the court system is long. I mean, the wheels of justice turn slow on the criminal side. The civil side is no different. I mean, once a ruling comes out, for instance, if we're spitballing this and President Trump is ruled to have been exceeded his power by the Supreme Court, then there is no appeal after that. But the process of getting those funds back, I don't think it's going to be the snap of a finger like, okay, here's your several $1 million in tariffs that you paid instantly back to you.
Real quick, Khalif, for consumers, say that you had to pay more for products. Is there anything that they can do to say, well, you know what, I also want to get on this, and if it was ruled improperly, like, I want to get my money back?
I like that train of thought, but the issue with that is that the consumer wouldn't have standing. The folks that have been directly impacted and affected and had to actually pay the tariffs are the companies. And so as an end user, the person in the store, the consumer, you've just paid the inflated price for the companies to be able to recoup what they've paid. And so your standing wouldn't be against the United States government, it would be against Costco or someone else that raised their prices in the wake of these tariffs.
So they get paid double then because they raise the prices to the consumer and they get the money back.
Yeah, and so I mean, for folks, and I said this when the tariffs first started, that you have to understand what tariffs are. While President Trump has boasted that this has brought in a number of dollars, it's bringing a number of dollars from mostly you and me, because these companies are paying it, but we're paying them back. So yeah, while this money seems good on paper, there's folks that are going to pay it.
All right, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, thank you so much.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.